You are now listening to and watching the Entertainment for One podcast. What's going on? Hope you're having a good day. Thank you for watching this video, of course, and subscribe to the channel if you will. Everybody has, I don't know about y'all, but I have been captivated seriously over the last week by Jeffrey Dahmer. Now, I'm sure you've seen the Netflix series, the 10-episode series, and just let me say that it's very exceptional. No matter what you have to think about Jeffrey Dahmer, no matter what he did, the way the series was shot, how it looks, the cinematography, the acting, everything about the show is very captivating and amazing. And I use that word captivating twice because it's just one of those shows that gets you hooked literally from the very first episode. Not only, mainly because of the heinous, malicious, the absolute disgusting crimes that he committed. That's number one. But number two, it takes you deeper into his background. It takes you deeper into his family structure, the lack thereof, shall I say, the family structure that he was involved with or he wasn't involved with from his mother while growing up, the abandonment from his father, the way his father really thought he was helping Jeffrey out at his earlier stage, at his childhood stages, by introducing him to quote unquote science and dissecting of animals and roadkill and things like that, things of that nature. But it turned him into a beast. It turned him into a monster. And one of the things, my thoughts are going to be going all over the place about this show, but one of the things that kind of reeled me in as far as being showing, they showed Dahmer in such a manner to where not only was he a monster, but they wanted to portray him to make us, the audience, feel some sort of compassion for him. Very noticeably, I noticed that towards the end of the series, like in episodes, more like episode 7, episodes 8, 9, and 10, the last 3 episodes basically focused on him getting apprehended by the police and him being in jail, him really just feeling like a loner in jail amongst other cellmates that really had it out for him, really didn't like him. The latter of the episodes, the last 2 episodes in particular, 9 and 10, showed how Dahmer was appearing it's very deceiving because you don't know what's real, what's fake, what in his life at that period of time when he was locked up, because they tried to make us as the viewer feel very sympathetic for him, because one of the keys was that he found God and he wanted to get baptized and he was trying to change his life around. Now, tell that to the families. It's one of those things to where you can't really show too much compassion for this man, because at the end of the day, he did kill 17 men, and there's a whole racial component to the series. If you've been under a rock and you don't know, he killed 17 men, homosexual men. Jeffrey Dahmer himself was a homosexual, and he frequented bars, gay bars and things of that nature in the late 80s, early 90s. And he brought these men home, or he brought these men to his grandmother's house, and he killed them. And he dismembered them, and he ate their body parts and their hearts and their organs and things of that nature. And he basically tormented a whole city for almost 10 years, give or take. So it's one of those things where you'll leave watching this show feeling a range of different emotions. I went from being very disgusted, wanting him to get caught, apprehended, and eventually his demise and get killed in prison. I wanted that part to come so bad towards the beginning, but towards the end, as they the directors and the producers and the script writers, they wanted us to feel compassion for this man at the end of the day. But let's talk about that a racial component, because a serious racial component, a lot of people feel, a lot of the families feel that Dahmer was someone who particularly target African American men, homosexual African American men. While and I've been doing so much research and YouTube. I've been watching nothing but Dahmer on YouTube videos for like literally the last week. But one of the things that I feel like that can be interpreted in many different ways, the whole racial component. I personally, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section and disagree with me or agree with me. But I personally do not feel that Dahmer was specifically targeting black men because of the hatred or the vitriol he had, and he was a racist. I don't feel that. I feel that Dahmer was just a white homosexual man that, for whatever, was attracted to black men, men of dark. He also killed. I think it was an Asian 14-year-old boy as well. He killed someone who was, I don't want to say Latino, but I just think Dahmer had a thing for, let's call it for what it is, for black men. And that's just what it is. I just feel that. I don't feel that he was a racist he was specifically targeting black men because he was a hardcore racist. I just feel that he had a fetish for not only dismembering people, killing them, eating them, cutting them open. And if you Google the pictures from the actual crime scene, you'll see the actual head and the hands and the genitals of the men and the men that he dismembered and cut them open. I mean, I remember some 25 years ago, when this case first happened and everything was going on, the trial, I remember actually seeing these gruesome photos online back in the 90s, and they still have them online today. So I don't think that Dahmer was a racist. I just think for whatever it was, he just liked black men, and that was his flavor. That's what he wanted. So there is another racial component with the police officers and the cops. And I do feel that Dahmer, even though I don't feel he was a racist, I feel that he purposely chose his location of where he wanted to stay, his apartment, being in an urban area around black people. He said he chose to stay in that apartment complex because that's all he could afford. True indeed, possibly so. But I do feel that he knew, number one, that was a black area. Two, black men were his prey. And three, it was a low-key spot to where he knew that the police presence was not going to be heavy whatsoever. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. In any urban inner city environment, if you're living in the hood and living in an urban environment in an apartment building or a house, the chances of police really lurking around and doing their just do an investigation when they get 911 calls, it's not police. Let's just say it what it is. Police half-ass police the black community as it is. So I do feel that was another reason why Dahmer chose to stay there, because he knew that the police presence was going to be minimal, if any. That's why you saw on the show when, the 911 calls, the people were calling 911. The specific woman in general kept calling and calling and calling, and the police just flat out sometimes refused to even show up because it was a black neighborhood, and we already know the history of black people and police, especially white officers. They could, not all of them, but some of them, could care less about black people and black crime. So I do feel that even though Dahmer was not a racist per se, he did specifically pick and choose strategically the area that he wanted to live in because it was easier for him to prey on black men, and with the whole gay club element and things of that nature. So it's one of those things to where it's heavy. It's real heavy. And the families, they really focus on a couple of the victims and their families in particular. And you really got a chance to see it through their lens and through their eyes. Heavy stuff. Real good show. Netflix did an amazing job on this show. As far as the look of the show, I'll get into that right now. If you Google the actual, not only the crime photos, but the photos of Dahmer's actual apartment, his actual bedroom, his actual living room to a T, Netflix Netflix mirrored his apartment to a T. So that they did an exceptional job with that, of bringing that whole authenticity factor to it. So I really want to know what y'all have to think about Dahmer, the whole situation. I remember 25 years ago, back when this was going on. So did I learn anything new from watching the show? I can't say I really learned anything new, because I remember watching it on Court TV back in the day, watching it on CNN, looking up the grisly crime photos. So I can't say that I learned anything new, but if anything, I learned more about the actual man that killed Dahmer in prison and how he is currently still incarcerated. And I learned a little bit more about him. I learned more about Dahmer's upbringing. I learned that his father did contribute to the element of him being an absolute nut. I did learn that his father did contribute to it, you know, the lack of him having his mother in his life. So I did learn a few things in that aspect. But as far as like, I already was going into it knowing a lot about it. But it's just that, you know, my feelings and thoughts have been suppressed for some 25 years because I haven't really thought about Jeffrey Dahmer too much over the last 25 years until Netflix announced this show. So very exceptional show. Let me know what you think. I want to know. Hit me up in the comment section. This is the E for One, Entertainment for One podcast. I will check y'all later. Peace.